Welcome to Dark Cinema. You handle occult symbolism every single day. It is in your wallet, on your streets, above your courthouses, and inside the logos you scroll past without a glance. None of it is accidental. The men who designed the American symbolic landscape were initiates, Freemasons, and students of the same Hermetic tradition this channel works from. Today, the occult symbols hidden in plain sight across America, and what they actually mean in the source tradition. Start with the one in your pocket, the Great Seal on the dollar bill, an unfinished pyramid of 13 courses, crowned by the radiant eye in the triangle. The eye in the triangle is the all-seeing eye of Providence, but the triangle itself is older. In the Hermetic tradition, it is the emblem of the divine ternary, the same triangle the Getia builds into the triangle of art. Above the pyramid, Annuit Coeptis, he favors our undertaking. Below, Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages. A talisman of founding intention, printed by the billion. Look closer at the dollar and count, 13 stars over the eagle, arranged when the lines are drawn as a hexagram. The Seal of Solomon, the figure that binds spirits in the Grimoire tradition, hovering over the national bird. The engravers knew their geometry. Masonic iconography inherited the hexagram through the same Renaissance channels that carried it into the Lesser Key. Washington, D.C. itself is a worked space. The city was laid out by Pierre L'Enfant and surveyed with the participation of Freemasons. George Washington laid the Capitol cornerstone in full Masonic regalia, with corn, wine, and oil, in a ceremony any student of consecration rites will recognize immediately. The avenues north of the White House trace forms that generations of researchers have read as the square, the compass, and the five-pointed star. The intention is documented. The debate is only over the degree. The Washington Monument is an Egyptian obelisk. 555 feet of it. In the solar tradition the Picatrix draws from, the obelisk is a frozen ray of the sun, the instrument that draws celestial force down into Earth. There are genuine Egyptian obelisks in New York's Central Park, and hundreds of Masonic copies over American town squares and grave sites. The most solar architecture on the continent, and almost nobody asks why. The five-pointed star is the most repeated symbol in the country. The flag carries 50 of them. In Agrippa's system, the pentagram is the figure of man perfected, the microcosm, the shape of protection worn on the operator's own body as the pentagram of Solomon. Point up, it is protective and solar in the tradition. The military service stars follow exactly this orientation. The medal of the Congressional Medal of Honor, an inverted five-pointed star. Make of the exception what you will. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from French Freemasons. The sculptor Bartholdi and the engineer Eiffel both belonged to lodges. Her form follows the classical goddess Libertas, fused with the radiate crown of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, 7 rays for the 7 planets of the old cosmology, the same 7 this channel's timing tables run on, a colossal solar talisman at the harbor gate holding the torch of illumination. The Capitol dome carries the apotheosis of Washington, the first president painted as a god among the heavens, ringed by Minerva, Neptune, Mercury, and Vulcan. Apotheosis, the transformation of man into God, is the explicit goal of the Hermetic operation. It is painted in fresco over the seat of American government, and the tour guides say it plainly to anyone who listens. Corporate America speaks the same language. The caduceus and the bowl of Hygeia on every pharmacy, the torch of illumination on Columbia Pictures, orbs, single eyes, pyramids, and rising suns across 100 logos, some by initiated intention, most by inheritance. Designers reaching for shapes that feel powerful because the tradition spent 3,000 years making them feel that way. That is what a symbol is, a shape that works whether or not the user knows why. And that is the real lesson, the one Agrippa states outright in the 3 books. Symbols are instruments. They focus attention. They carry intention. They bind meaning to matter. A nation that stamps the eye of Providence on its money and raises obelisks in its capitals is doing, knowingly or not, exactly what the Renaissance magician did on parchment, consecrating its space with the figures of power. For the documented history, the Great Seal design records of Charles Thomson, the Masonic cornerstone ceremonies in the Library of Congress archives, Albert Pike's morals and dogma for the lodge's own reading of its symbols, and Agrippa and the Picatrix for what the figures mean in the operative tradition. Separate the documented from the speculative, and the documented alone is remarkable enough. Once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it, and there are far more than we covered today. Drop the strangest symbol you've found in your own city in the comments. Subscribe to Dark Cinema for Grimoire accurate ritual guides and the hidden history of the symbols around you. Keep your circle closed, your will clear, and your intentions pure.